Despite our best intentions, it can be hard to stop worrying because some part in us believes that worrying is necessary. In this video, I will explain 5 reasons we think worrying makes sense and why it actually doesn't. Hey everyone, and welcome to Becoming an Expert at Self-Leadership. My name is Maika, I'm a psychologist, and I'm here to support you so that you can live your life to the fullest. Our head is an important part of our body, and spending time there helps us to make plans, solve problems, anticipate things, and answer questions. But it can really also become an obstacle when we spend unnecessary time there, when we worry, when we have thoughts that are really repeating and unproductive. We are usually so conscious not to waste energy, like we switch off the lights when we leave a room. We try not to leave water running unnecessarily. But what about our mental energy? Thinking is mental energy, and worrying is wasting mental energy. We often treat our mental energy as if it were inexhaustible. So in this video, I want to explain what makes us go back to worrying again and again. I want to look at that side in us that believes worrying is necessary and explain why it really isn't, so that you can be stronger in your intention to stop worrying. If you're like most people, then you know that you want to worry less, but you're in two minds about it. Some part in you believes that worrying is necessary. So this video will strengthen your resolve not to worry that much. So here are 5 reasons why we think worrying makes sense when it actually really doesn't. Number 1, worrying helps me solve problems. One reason we may feel compelled to worry is that we believe it somehow helps us to solve problems. I have to keep thinking about this so that I can solve this problem. And there is a grain of truth in this, because there is such a thing as productive problem solving. The problem is when we confuse that with worrying. The difference is that worrying doesn't lead to a conclusion. It's unproductive. And it's about things that are unreasonable, unlikely to happen, and it also doesn't lead to any action. Whereas true problem solving leads to some sort of conclusion. It's productive, and it leads to an action that is more or less immediate. So when you worry, ask yourself, am I coming to some sort of conclusion in thinking about this? Is there something that I can do about this? And how likely is what I'm thinking about to happen? Worrying really doesn't solve any problems. It creates them by using up unnecessary mental energy, and then we have to live with the consequences of that, being that we are exhausted and that we have less energy left over for the rest of life. Number 2, worrying gives me control. Another reason we may be motivated to worry is that we are under the impression that it gives us more control over the situation. So it can be our way of coping with the fact that there's something that we don't have under control. And instead of accepting the limits of our control, we create an illusion of control by continuing to think and think and think about this. The logic is, doesn't it mean that I'm in control if I'm thinking about it? Not really. And the way out of this one is to accept the limits of our control, to come to peace with the fact that there are some things in life that we can't control. It's basically the decision, do I want to keep worrying about this or not? Either way, it's not going to change anything. It's not going to increase my control. And if I decide not to worry, I'll at least not waste my mental energy. Number 3, worrying is the responsible thing to do. This is when we think, I worry because I am a responsible adult. People who are relaxed are a threat to themselves and others. Worrying is required, and I don't want to run from that. And there is a grain of truth in this. Just like worrying is unnecessary and unhelpful, so is being reckless. But if we really see worrying for what it truly is, repeated thinking about unreasonable what-ifs that never leads to any sort of solution or action, is that responsible? Isn't it irresponsible because it distracts us from investing energy into the things that we do have control over? Number 4, worrying reduces uncertainty. Uncertainty has the potential to bother us. Just like our control in life has its limits, so does certainty. Some things are just uncertain no matter what we do. We may like that, we may not like it, but uncertainty is there. And one rather unproductive and destructive way of trying to cope with uncertainty is by worrying, by thinking about something again and again and again. There are ways in which we can reduce uncertainty, and that is by constructive problem solving and action. For example, if you're uncertain how an exam will go, how a client meeting or job interview will go, you can increase the certainty that it will go into the direction you wish by preparing for it, by being willing to do what it takes, even if it's uncomfortable. But you cannot make it more certain to go well by worrying about it. And of course, even with all the reasonable problem solving and action we take, there will always be an amount of uncertainty left. But instead of being upset about that, worrying, and letting it stop us from living our life, we can accept it, allow it to be there, accept uncertainty as part of life. And that way we can really save ourselves a lot of trouble. Because like I said, it'll be there, the uncertainty, no matter what. We can choose to accept it or we can choose to fight it. What do you choose? Number 5, worrying will help me deal with challenging emotions. This is probably the least conscious of all these reasons, but definitely a really powerful one. Something in us believes that we can deal with challenging emotions by worrying. And one thing that strengthens this tendency is that while we are worrying, we are in our heads. We're disconnected from experiencing our feelings and emotions. So it's a way of avoiding challenging emotions. The problem is that it's an escape into our heads. And when we return to experience, the challenging emotions have become stronger. When we worry, they're not acknowledged, they're not listened to, they're just shoved into a corner, and there they grow. So on the one hand, we're keeping ourselves alert of and threatened by something, and on the other hand, we're not really acknowledging those emotions and responding to them. If you want to get more into how to deal with challenging emotions, check out my playlist on emotions on this channel. All in all, worrying is really unnecessary and counterproductive, and I hope that this video will help you remain more aware of that. If you know someone who could benefit from reflecting on the points in this video, and someone who is also open to receiving such a link, share this link with them so they can also stay aware of how counterproductive worrying is. Also, leave a thumbs up if you liked the video, and if you want to stay in contact with inputs about self-leadership Also hit the subscribe button. Till next time, take care, and remember, although worrying may seem to make sense, when we examine it closely, it really doesn't. And you can do yourselves and others a favor and really make your life so much easier and be kinder to yourself by not worrying.